Hey beautiful ladies, in this video I'm going to show you how I do what I call my base face. Okay, these are the steps and the products that I use pretty much anytime I start my makeup routine. Okay, so this is the base foundation of any makeup look, and then once you have these steps done, then you go on to the fun stuff with like the different lip colors, the different blush colors, the different eye colors. Okay, but it all basically starts the same way. So a lot of times I will skip this step in my video and just refer to the fact that I already have my base face on. So if you're wondering whatever I'm talking about when you hear that thing, this is what I'm talking about. Okay, so let's start. Okay, so as you can see, I've got some acne going on. I have some redness. So this is something I'm prone to on a monthly basis. So green concealer is my best friend. If you've never used green concealer before, I can tell you that I personally was like, ugh, when I heard about it, but it actually works. It's magic, okay? Green concealer will cancel redness because they are opposite of each other on the color wheel. So they actually will like neutralize each other, okay? So, sorry, mine is almost gone here. So when you put this on, I put it on any red areas that I have. So for me, it's blemishes, but this also works really well if you have broken capillaries, like if the broken capillaries are red, not like bluish spider veins, but like if they're red broken capillaries, maybe you have like a really bad cough or something like that. Or if you have rosacea or maybe really bad like eczema or something that you have a lot of like redness and irritation on your face, this will work wonderful for that too. You just use it in a little bit larger area, okay? So I usually just take a couple dots and kind of pat it in. Like I said, so mine's like almost out, so like not very much is coming up. I love this stuff. So you just kind of pat it in, okay? And yes, it looks a little bit not completely obvious, but you can tell that it's there, but you're going to put concealer over it or foundation over it, okay? So you go in with this first. The green cancels the red. They like neutralize each other. Since they're on opposite sides of the color wheel, they neutralize each other, okay? This goes the same for if you have like dark circles under your eyes and you want to conceal those, you want to color correct those, you're going to use the opposite color on the color wheel. So if you have dark blue, you're going to use orange. If you have purple, you're going to use yellow, okay? So if you ever have some sort of discoloration going on in your face and you're trying to figure out how best to neutralize it, color correct first with the opposite color on the color wheel, and then go in with your foundation and concealer and stuff like that. So, but green is probably the most used color correction that I use, okay? Next, I'm going to go in with Buff Foundation, okay? So this is what I use when I want like a little bit fuller coverage look. If you're doing like a really natural, like stay-at-home look, nothing big, fancy, just laid back, you could totally use color correcting tinted moisturizer as well. Some days I'll do that, but most days, especially when I'm having more breakouts and things like that, I will prefer the fuller coverage of the original foundation. So Buff is great. It's one of our neutral shades. I am neutral to cool toned, so I really like having a neutral option. And I just kind of pat it in. You might see like little patting brushes, and then I kind of blend it in as well, kind of a combination. Okay, but that patting really helps kind of get it into your skin a little bit better. It has that really nice like airbrushed finish. I love this foundation because it's anti-aging. It helps protect against like the sun, and it color corrects. So you don't have to worry about getting like the perfect shade, or if you get a little paler or get a little tanner, it'll still work for you. So it's awesome. So great. But yeah, if you don't want a full coverage and you want something a little bit lighter, you can use our color correcting tinted moisturizer. Or another great thing about our foundation is that it's actually buildable. So if you don't have green concealer, if you don't have like a lot of redness in like specific spots, just kind of all over, color correcting tinted moisturizer is a great option because it actually has some of that green pigment within it. So it'll help kind of neutralize the redness all over, give you a little bit of boost of moisture, a little bit of coverage. And then if you want a full coverage look, you go in with your foundation on top of that. And now you're gonna have a really beautiful full coverage with the color correction kind of already built in with that first layer. So that's just another fun thing you can do. Okay, so next I'm gonna go in with concealer, okay? When you conceal under your eyes, you don't wanna just go right where your darkness is, okay? You want to go in a inverted triangle. And I like to use concealer with a little bit of white concealer. Now, depending on your skin tone, you could maybe the light is light enough to be like a highlight, or maybe it's, you know, kind of like my skin tone right now. Okay, so if you are darker in tone, skin tone, the light concealer may work well on its own. If you're more like me, you might want to mix these two. So I just put a little bit like this, and you'll see. Okay, so I do like apply it right under my eye, but then I'll show you what I do. I take it down into an inverted triangle. I just put a couple dots of each. Then I take my ring finger, because it has the least amount of pressure, and I kind of mix them together. You can totally mix them together on your hand or like a bottle cap or something like that beforehand too. And then I bring it down into the triangle shape. Okay? Which I go down my nose and then up towards the corner of my eye. And I love using the color correcting concealer by Senegence because it's just so creamy and it just melts into your skin. Okay, so I put it there, kind of let it warm up to my skin a little bit and let it start melting. And while my under eye is kind of setting a little bit, I go in and cover the other areas with the concealer as well. Now, sometimes I'll use the concealer for my blemishes and sometimes I'll use Candlelight for my blemishes. Candlelight is a little bit thicker, so when I really want to make sure that these blemishes are covered, I'll use that. Or if they're being like a little bit stubborn, I'll use the Candlelight. And I used to use Candlelight under my eyes as well, and it certainly can be. It has peachy undertones, so it's really great at canceling out those blue veins that you might see under there. However, it's not as creamy. It's a little bit drier. So sometimes, depending on like your eye, like your skin, like if your skin is on the drier side already, you might notice some like creasing, or like it might settle a little bit more into your lines if you have drier skin. So that's where the concealer is really good because it has more humectants in it, so it's going to stay nice and moist and just blend really nicely. Okay, so now that it has warmed up to my skin temperature a little bit more, now I go in and kind of blend it in. So I kind of like pat it in and brush it along that triangle line. Blur the edges. And then I kind of go over my eyelids too with whatever on the brush. And that just kind of helps brighten my eyelids as well. And make sure you get right up underneath to your lash line to keep it nice and bright. Okay, so the next thing I do in like my base face, or like what I lump into my base face, is my eyebrows, because this is pretty much something I do on the regular now, okay? What I use for my brows might change. Like if I'm doing a more simple look, I like to use the Brow Sense Light Brow Sense. Kind of, I feel like it gives me a really natural looking brow that's just a little bit, little more filled in. But if I want a little bit more of a dramatic look or more glam look, what have you, I also really like using Rustic Brown or Smoked Topaz Shadow Sense with an angled brush to do my brows. But I will pretty much always do something with my brows because it makes such a big difference. So apply it, and then I kind of use the spoolie you brush it out, brush it in a little bit. You can even see, like, it doesn't look drastically different, but it does make a big difference, okay? So my base face usually includes the green concealer, then my foundation, then my concealer under my eyes, which is like a conceal and highlight, and then conceal any blemishes that might still be popping through. And then my brows, and that's just kind of how I start every look. If I'm doing something a little bit fancier, I might throw on some primer first. I might do some contour, but those aren't stuff that I do that often, so I don't necessarily consider it part of my base face because it's just not something I do as regularly. But I pretty much always do green concealer, foundation, or color correcting tinted moisturizer, brows, and concealer. So there you go. What do you think? Now I can do the fun stuff. I can kind of switch it up, do a different lip color, different eye color, different blush color. But like I said, this is how I start every look. This is what's going to be pretty much be the same way, whatever I do. So if you have any questions, let me know. But I hope that was helpful. Bye.